Welcome to Discover Barnstable, the official podcast of the Town of Barnstable, a podcast where you can meet the people who steward the programs and services that connect us to our quality of life here in the Town of Barnstable. We invite you to join the conversation as we navigate municipal government and our community pathways to help you discover Barnstable. I'm Cathy Flynn, and on this episode of Discover Barnstable, we are joined by Safety Officer Erin Ellis. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you including me today.
No problem. We're so happy to have you here. Now, Erin has her bachelor's in environmental science and English, doubled up on that, and her public sector safety certification from Keene State in construction and general industry, which means you took a whole lot of OSHA classes, both in person at Holy Cross and virtually. She also is a licensed notary and has been a volunteer with the IFAW since 2003. So you have been busy.
I definitely have been, yes. The most recent public sector certification was done during COVID, too. We had initially started classes in 2019, had planned on graduating in March of 2020. But needless to say, that kind of got kicked down the road, so to speak. Keene State itself actually had to get permission to hold the OSHA classes virtually because there is a classroom component with obvious attendance and making sure that everybody's paying attention. So they had a proctor sitting there watching to make sure that our cameras were on at all points in time. We were always watching.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, congratulations on that. I'm sure that was, a feat in itself as the world was shutting down to keep focused and to keep your education going.
Yes.
So, Erin, let's start at the beginning. We want to talk about the role you have here at the Town of Barnstable. You are the safety officer. What is a safety officer?
So what I do as the safety officer for the Department of Public Works is I track licensing. I do work with courses that need to be taken, such things as stop the bleed, chainsaw safety training, chipper training, and what have you. Coordinate those with the different supervisors to make sure that everybody's up to snuff with their training. Again, I said the licensing, tracking licensing, making sure that everyone's up to date, everything's on time, nothing's expired. We also have a wonderful CDL program where we are able to self-certify CDL drivers, which is a great reduction in cost for the Town of Barnstable. On average, a CDL Class B, I think it ranges at about $8,000 right now. And through the town using DPW employees as instructors, certified instructors, we're able to offer that to our employees so that in turn they can continue to move up in the DPW.
Wow, that's fantastic that you can not only do that internally, but you have kind of the knowledge ladder of, some of your maybe more senior management people in place to train new and upcoming employees. So that's fantastic.
It's a really great program, and I've seen a lot of really amazing incentive by some of the younger employees that have come on board recently, wanting to learn, wanting to be able to get those certifications to move that next step up the ladder. It's a really great program, and I hope that more younger kids coming up 18 that might not necessarily want to go to college right away know that the DPW has such fantastic opportunities like this. Even something as simple as a summer job as a way to get in to decide if municipal government's the way to go.
Absolutely. And what a great mention there that we do have entry-level jobs. So for all of the newly graduated seniors, maybe looking into the workforce, be like, I don't know if college is right for me. There's a lot of students maybe thinking about taking that year off to do some exploration of, do I go into higher education? Do I go into a skills? It's nice to have that level of, I can explore this route, get a certification in-house, and then start building my career with the Town of Barnstable. So that's a very great thing to highlight. And it's something that they can easily look into through the Town of Barnstable's website if they're interested in finding and learning more about the jobs available.
Yes, 100%.
Awesome. Wonderful. So basically, I don't want to bring it down too basic, but you ensure the safety of the employees in the workplace primarily, and make sure that the licenses are up to date. How I'm thinking that's probably pretty difficult because everyone has different levels of licensing and they all expire at different times. And why don't you tell us about some of the projects that you're working on and how they benefit the town, and if you can go into a little detail about that, please.
Absolutely. So when I first started, I also worked alongside Megan Savage, who was one of the other safety officers for the town. And when she and I worked together, I was able to branch out to the Hyannis Youth Community Center and the Barnstable Adult Community Center and develop and fine-tune their emergency plans. Originally, they were affectionately called emergency action plans, but as we have the total EAP program through the town, it was better that we shortened them to emergency plans so that they wouldn't cause any confusion. And as a result, what worked out great was I was able to start developing relationships with Hyannis Youth Community Center staff as well as Barnstable Adult Community Center staff. From there, hearing from different people what types of trainings they would like to see, stop the bleed, eventually avoid, deny, defend, as opposed to run, hide, fight. Our policemen are trained in avoid, deny, defend, a very similar program to that as well. And I was able to do those two emergency plans, implement those two plans, and present them to staff, which was great. I'm now working on the MEA's emergency plan, developing where they would evacuate in the event of an emergency, given how tight that property is itself. I've also been able to go out in the field and take a really good chance at observing all the different processes that all of our DPW employees do. I know I've just scraped the surface, but I've had a great time learning from them, also developing job hazard analysis to see what they do, and so that coming down the pipeline, as we talked about those young employees, being able to provide a basic guideline to say, this is the type of task that you might be doing today, or even in turn talking to somebody saying, if you're interested, these are the type of things that we like to do. I got to do water quality testing with some of our engineers. That was fantastic, out on a canoe in Hawthorne Pond first thing in the morning. So I did not know it was 70 feet deep at one of its deepest points. So
I didn't know that either. We're getting all kinds of wonderful information today.
Absolutely. So I've also been able to go out and see Barnstable. I live on the other end of the Cape in good old Eastham, so I haven't had a chance to explore Barnstable the way that I would like to. This job's given me a great opportunity to be able to go out to get to know some of the different areas as well.
Wonderful. And you've kind of scratched the surface on it. Talk about how your role has evolved since you've been in the role and taken on the responsibility.
Absolutely. So from here, I've taken, I initially went and started with emergency plans and just kind of went little building to building and what have you. My focus has become primarily DPW, which is great, being a support and trying to help out best I can to staff and supervisors to provide trainings and to provide options. I was very fortunate to go to the OSHA Summer Summit last week at UMass Amherst and talk to people. When I went to water pollution control, I had spoken with Andy Boulay and asked him, is there anything you guys need when I go to this? And he said, you know what, we're looking for lighter weight gloves, summer weight gloves that are still going to protect our employees. So I was able to go around kind of vendor to vendor and say, hey, what have you got available for my guys? Oh, we'll send you paperwork, we'll send you information. From there, that was able to disseminate to, at my most recent staff meeting, me saying, I spoke with vendors if anyone's interested. And I had people reach out from town hall. Hey, you know what? We need these things. So it's gone really nicely that I've started developing these little groups of people that know that they can reach out to me about certain things. Did the first aid kits at town hall. I owe that a walkthrough to make sure that those are still properly filled and what have you. But it's been a great experience so far with Barnstable. I've been here just since October, but I'm very fortunate to be here.
Wonderful. And it's I'm wondering, is it a lot of like employees suggesting, hey, maybe we need a little additional training on that, or maybe we can think about this kind of safety? How is safety precautions, how do they kind of bubble up through the system?
It's a little bit of both. When I start talking about different little classes, I'll notice people's ears perk up, or they'll say something like, hey, you know what? I haven't done that in a while. Or I'll go through older files and say, you know what? I'm noticing that this training hasn't come about. So I've gotten it from both ends. I've gotten it from supervisors who say, you know what, we need to schedule this. This needs to come down the pipeline, as well as employees. You know what, we had 3 new people start. I'd really like them to take X, Y, and Z for classes. We also have a safety skills platform, which provides a basic overview of little safety subjects before they kind of get more into those meat and potatoes trainings, those all-day trainings that'll happen. So.
And it's mandatory or voluntary? Like, I know you mentioned like the Stop the Bleed, and I'm certain those are probably very mandatory, but can they take other trainings that they're interested in?
It just depends on, coordinating with the supervisors as well as seeing what the need is and what have you. Because we are such a great larger town, we are able to work with UMass and in some cases host trainings. It's a benefit to the town when we host trainings because they provide us spots available that are guaranteed for the town employees. So if there's enough of a need and the supervisors say, yep, this is definitely something that's part of your requirements as part of your job, then come on over and take it, which is great.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. And you talked about the CDL program and how you can kind of work your way up through the levels. Do you want to talk any more about that? You want to give a little more in-depth discussion with that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a benefit to the town in the respect that we have this program in the town itself that is able to self-certify, so you don't have to send drivers out on weekends doing all of these different things that might take many hours and many, days away from families. So as a result, the instructors work alongside the employees that are required. There's a 6-month requirement for hoisting licensing, as well as in some cases for the job functions, the CDL. The Class B is the first rung, the Class A is the higher of the two. And so what ends up happening is they will say, oh, we've got Joe Smith that just started. He would like to get involved in the CDL program. We coordinate with the highway foreman and make sure that this is something that works for the instructors. And then from there, the student and the instructor work together to determine how they can make sure that they get enough drive time. And our instructors are fantastic. They take the time. Not every person is going to drive the same. Sure. And the students are very dedicated as a result. They see the benefit to it. I was very lucky to speak with one of the students recently who's going for his CDL Class A. And he said, I want another hour or 2 working on this thing. I've almost got it down, but my instructor's been great. And it's been absolutely wonderful to see as a result.
That's amazing. I love that it's in-house. It's on through work hours. It's not taking away from personal and family time that they can get this done. So,
well, I do have to say is when they do drive, it is after work, but it's not necessarily that classroom time that would have taken if you had done one of those outside programs.
Right.
So,
or gobbled up your whole weekend.
You've got it.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you, Erin. Is there anything you want to be sure to let listeners know that we didn't talk about that your job encompasses?
Well, one of the things that I'm very fortunate about is when I came on board, I discovered that there is a really great safety culture already in place. The guys are absolutely, and ladies are absolutely fantastic about, we call it keeping your head on a swivel, watching for things, making sure that other people are safe. Even my first week on the job site, I watched somebody do the mom arm bar because they wanted to make sure that the other employee was stopping and that they saw what they were doing for a procedure so that they would be aware.
That's great. That's fantastic. I mean, I think especially in that capacity, you have to have each other's back, and safety is obviously first and foremost. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, all of you. I greatly appreciate this.
Absolutely. And we do have a bonus question for you. We can't let you leave without asking, what is your favorite season and why?
I would have to say it is late summer, early fall. And it's simply because the Cape that time of year, we get the amazing warmth able to be outside late in the evening or first thing in the morning, as well as all the amazing festivals that happen around the Cape. I kind of bounce around from town to town to town and check out all of the great sites that are going on. I'd be, remiss not to say that I do love Oysterfest and Wellfleet the weekend after Columbus Day. But I'm able to just really enjoy myself. I'm also an avid equestrian, so I'm able to ride outside a lot, trail rides with my daughter and what have you.
Oh, that's amazing. And it's beautiful, those shoulder seasons coming into play. I love it.
I know, they're fantastic. We're so lucky.
Well, Erin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you, our listeners, for spending time with us and listening to Discover Barnstable, the official podcast of the Town of Barnstable. We hope you found a new understanding of how your municipal government works for you and our community. Be sure to drop us a line at podcast@town.barnstable.ma.us and let us know what you would like to learn next. Until next time, go discover Barnstable.